When I pulled into my driveway that fateful afternoon, I had no idea my life was about to unravel. On December 1st, I got the devastating news I had been fearing. The tests confirmed the diagnosis: stage 4 pancreatic cancer. This means this holiday season will probably be my last. Surprisingly, I feel a sense of acceptance. I have lived a fulfilling life, and my loved ones will be provided for. Being a private person by nature, I kept the test results from my wife, Amanda. I did not want to alarm her until I had all the details. So, I went home early to have the talk. This was not a conversation to have over the phone or via text. Little did I know, my life would change in more ways than one that afternoon. When I pulled into the driveway, I noticed the flashy, expensive car of one of my business partners parked there, complete with his personalized license plate. This was highly unusual. I checked our home camera system on my phone and saw it was in privacy mode, not recording. I decided to let it go and drove to our farm property to clear my mind. Our camera system is mainly for security, and I rarely check it unless necessary. However, I also enjoy watching wildlife on the outside cameras and find it calming to watch storms roll in. So, for my own amusement, I had set up a second video recorder to archive the footage to local storage, which is not accessible via my phone. Once I arrived at the farm, I opened my computer and checked the other server to confirm my suspicions. And there they were, Amanda and my partner, cuddling in the living room, drinking wine, dancing, and then heading up to the bedroom. Apparently, they left the doors open because the microphone picked up their activities after they left the camera's view. With the limited time I have left, I wanted answers, but did not want the drama of a confrontation and divorce. Call me a coward if you will, but all the love and devotion I had for her vanished that afternoon. I felt all the expected emotions: anger, betrayal, heartbreak. But I know it is not my fault. I have been a loyal, romantic, and attentive husband. Now I am focusing on myself. I know what matters to me. I called my lawyer, and we reviewed my will and our prenuptial agreement. I explained what was happening, and we worked on figuring out how long and to what extent this affair had been going on. What we found was disturbing. Either I never truly knew the woman I spent over 2 decades with, or she changed drastically. For now, I am not telling my kids or Amanda. We never had children together, but I have kids from a previous relationship. I'm going to put on a brave face and get through the holidays, giving my kids and grandkids one last holiday memory with me. I will be the doting father and grandfather and try to play the role of a loving husband. Here is some background for some obvious questions. Amanda's affair partner, Mike, is a widower and has not remarried. He is a business partner but not a friend. I do not mix business with friendship. I never married my twins' mother, Sarah. It was her choice, and I agreed with her that it was the right decision at the time. My kids' mother, Sarah, married a wonderful man named Mark when the kids were 7. Sarah and Mark never had kids of their own. I got my act together when the kids were 3. I have been very involved with them since, and that is when I started becoming the father I wanted to be. Sarah and I co-parented well, and I would even call Mark a friend. Sarah, Mark, and I are all in our 60s. Amanda is almost 60, and Mike is in his 50s. Amanda and I are both in our first marriage. We were in our 30s when we tied the knot. Update: my ex, Sarah, and I were very young when we had the twins. They were a surprise but always wanted. So the twins are in their 40s now, and the grandkids are all teens and older. Christmas is a week-long event every year. We spend Christmas through New Year's on the farm. We cut down a tree together after everyone arrives, then decorate, cook, play, and celebrate as a family. Sarah and her husband, Mark, have been part of this tradition since I bought the farm. I remain committed to not telling anyone about my diagnosis until after the new year. If I told Sarah, she would not be able to keep it in, and I do not want to put Mark in a position where he has to lie to his wife. I want the kids and grandkids to enjoy the week. We will have plenty of time to cry and prepare in a few weeks. Amanda's presence this week will just be a minor detail in the long run. Frankly, I do not care about her nearly as much as the rest of the family. The financial dynamics between Amanda and me are quite intriguing. We both entered our marriage with established careers and personal wealth. Amanda had a stable job with an excellent pension and 2 inheritances held in a trust. Early in our relationship, she insisted we keep our full financial worth undisclosed to each other. We also have a prenuptial agreement that stipulates any property or trust established before our marriage and any income derived from them are not considered marital assets. This was her idea. I provided both properties, housing with utilities, and covered travel, food, and fuel expenses. Essentially, I supported her entirely. Her income and assets were spent solely on herself. She purchased her own car, clothes, personal trips, and cosmetic surgeries. While she may be beautiful on the outside, she has proven to be quite ugly on the inside. A few days after receiving my diagnosis, I announced my retirement from the nonprofit organization where I worked. Looking back with my current knowledge, I noticed Amanda seemed a bit uneasy. I can understand why. I would be home more often. Tomorrow is my final day of work, and then I will focus on spending time with my family. I provided my lawyer with access to the camera server from his office. So, I do not know if Amanda and Mike have continued their activities, but I assume they have. At this point, it does not matter. I know who I am and what I am worth, and Mike is a significant downgrade. Despite Mike's flashy demeanor, I am low-key. I drive a 15-year-old pickup truck. I prefer jeans and t-shirts, and coveralls in the winter. I know for a fact that Mike does not possess anywhere near the wealth Amanda believes he does. How do I know? Since the trust has invested in his business, I receive quarterly financial reports. I do not disclose my financial worth to anyone. That is between me and my accountants. But suffice it to say, the trust has been growing for 30 years. I lead a modest lifestyle, and there is enough for my great-great-grandchildren to enjoy the farm and have their education paid for. Once Amanda realizes what she has lost, it will be her reckoning. Unfortunately, I will not be around to witness it. December was exceptionally busy. We attended our usual social events these past weekends. Mike was present at one of the parties. It was challenging not to keep an eye on Amanda and him. I do not think they noticed. With all the busyness and wrapping up everything at work, I have found it easier to maintain my composure. Amanda has not shown any signs that would indicate she knows I am aware of her affair. I am not proud of this, but I still share a bed with her. I have been selfish with her lately. I feel like I am using her, but she has apparently been using me for at least most of this year. I am not as honorable as some of you may think. I despise the small amount of deceit. So, do not worry about Amanda getting everything because she will not. The trust is in excellent hands. I have provided detailed instructions on how it is to be managed. Thanks to your comments, I have made plans in case my health declines sooner than expected, or if I pass unexpectedly. I have also arranged for in-home care when needed. Amanda will not be my caregiver. If I become incapacitated, the lawyer will inform Sarah, Mark, and the kids. Amanda will be barred from seeing me. All important documents, valuables, and other items have been relocated to a secure location. Lastly, I have started writing letters to each family member and Amanda. These have been more difficult than I anticipated. Update. Mission accomplished. We had a wonderful, drama-free holiday week, and I have made it to 2023. I apologize in advance, but I find humor about my condition helps me cope. I realize I have been a bit selfish lately. Everyone left yesterday afternoon, so I only have a few updates. I will not talk about my week with my family. That is something for me to cherish. Observations about Amanda this week. I honestly believe this is the first time she has cheated on me. Being with all of us for the entire week seemed to take a toll on her. It is amusing how once you know something, a person's actions make more sense. She was secretive about her phone and frequently stepped out of our family gatherings to get some air. The highlight was when she needed to run into town, and one of the grandkids wanted to accompany her. The mental gymnastics she performed to avoid taking the grandchild were almost comical. I must admit, I played along a bit by asking why not. So, the affair is continuing. With me now retired, she has been asking about my plans for the day or week. I go ahead and tell her, then inquire about her plans. Later this week, I will suggest we meet up for lunch, since I will be in the same area, just to mess with her. Unpredictability is a cheater's worst enemy. This morning, I had a meeting with my lawyer. I made some significant decisions and asked him to prepare the necessary documents. I replaced my temporary will with a new permanent one which I have signed and should not need to change again. In anticipation of a potential fallout, I had him draft divorce papers based on our prenup and the evidence of the affair. Amanda gets only 25% of our shared assets, like housewares and furniture. I keep all my liquid assets, retirement funds, and items bought with my own wealth. If I push it, she would be required to pay alimony. I have signed the papers and have a packet containing all our evidence of the affair, ready to use if needed. I sold my loan to the trust, allowing the trustees to convert it to shares in Mike's company. As for the trust, I've decided how I want it managed. I will reduce my role to a 1% trustee. The twins will receive the majority of the trusteeship, and the 4 grandkids will take up the rest. Sarah and Mark will act as proxies for the grandkids. When each grandkid turns 24, their trusteeship will transfer from Sarah and Mark to them. If there is any leftover share, Sarah will get it. I have planned a meeting with the kids, Sarah and Mark, for next week. I will explain everything to them then, as they need to sign documents and will want to know why I am doing this. After this is settled, my personal wealth will consist of my liquid assets, personal property, and the money from Mike's loan. In the worst-case scenario, Amanda will get very little compared to the assets and value in the trust. Over the next few weeks, I will distribute the personal items I want to go to the kids and grandkids. These items are already at a secure location where my lawyer has access. To address concerns about my health, I am not fighting this illness. I am letting nature take its course, so I have no side effects from any treatments. This week I noticed I get tired more easily, and the family noticed too. I played it off as just getting older. I still have the cough, the one that started it all. It was the lung tumors that led to the diagnosis. I just called it a lingering COVID cough. I expect to decline quickly once other issues arise, but by then, everyone will know. I intend to spend as much time as possible with my family. A large trip would be difficult with everyone's different obligations, which is why this week was so important to me. It was the last time I could be with all of them for an extended period. I'm considering a small trip for myself. We will see. I plan to spend a day with each child and grandchild individually. That is my next goal. Update. I had my lawyer, a notary, the twins, Sarah and Mark, over at my farm today. The tasks I needed to complete are done, and the process has gone as well as it could. Understandably, the family is hurt and angry. When everyone arrived and saw my lawyer and the notary, the tension was palpable. I asked them to sit and listen to me, and after I finished, to sign the papers. After the documents were signed, I would answer all their questions. They all know about the trust. I explained that it was time for me to pass control of the trust to them. I detailed how important the trust has been in my life, why I started it, and how it was kept separate from my marriage to Amanda by mutual decision. I also left instructions on how I wanted them to manage and use the trust. We explained that the trust would be divided between the twins and the grandchildren, with Sarah and Mark acting as proxies for the grandkids, until each of them reaches the age of 25. Their trust in me was evident because they signed the documents and got them notarized. After that was done, copies were made, and I dismissed my lawyer and the notary. I saw them out and thanked them for coming on a Sunday. They were both gracious as always. When I returned to the dining room, which was serving as a conference room, they were all silent. My daughter was the first to speak. Well, it was more like a stream of thoughts than a question. When she stopped, I started explaining my health situation. I shared my diagnosis and listened to them make plans on how we were going to fight this. This is where I had to stop them. I explained the odds. I told them I had already gotten a second opinion. Then I shared what you all already know. I'm not going to seek treatment. I'm going to let nature take its course. We spent the next hour to an hour and a half in a heated discussion. My daughter left the room a few times. Sarah had to go get her. While they were gone, Mark, my son, and I had a heart-to-heart. They understand my perspective. They might not agree, but they understand. The consensus is that Sarah and my daughter will eventually come around. After things calmed down, I knew the inevitable question was coming. When did I find out? I told them. This sparked another wave of anger and sadness. I explained that I wanted one last holiday week where I wasn't seen as a dead man walking. It was selfish of me. I wanted the diagnosis to come out after the holidays to avoid tainting their memories of this time of year. My daughter, sensing there was more to the story, wouldn't let it go. She demanded to know why Amanda hadn't said anything. That's when I dropped the final bombshell. I told them exactly what I shared in my first post. For the first time, I saw true anger in my daughter's eyes. I then told them that to this day, Amanda doesn't know I am aware of her affair. I answered the same questions and addressed the scenarios you all suggested. So I guess you all prepared me well. Ultimately, I told them I valued them much more than Amanda. For me, I just want to spend the rest of my days in peace without worrying about Amanda. I had to explain my behavior during the holiday week. They also connected her stepping outside for air and the trip into town where she avoided taking the grandkid. They were concerned I went through this alone. I told them I had some online friends who helped me through the toughest times. I refused to tell them where and how I connected with these friends. They can learn later, but I still need this space for myself. The emotions were raw, and we talked as a group for several hours. But I told them we needed to return to discussing the trust. They understand that the trust will be crucial in preventing Amanda from getting my hard-earned wealth. It protects them, and that's why she wasn't part of this meeting. With that said, I needed to share the financial details of the trust. I'm pretty sure they saw the trust as just a way to protect assets in a marriage where the kids are from another relationship. They were not prepared for me to reveal the actual finances. As I went through the assets and balance sheets, the room fell silent. Then came the inevitable question. Why did you work so hard all those years when you had this much? I explained my philosophy of personal finance, something they've heard many times before, and taken to heart. But I told them that I lived off the trust all these years. I put them through college with that trust. I made time in my life for them with that trust. And I was able to work for a nonprofit, essentially for free, because of that trust. If there's any lesson I want to leave for them and their children, it's to use this trust to better others' lives. Not just to write a check for charity here and there, but to work for something they believe in. In my years with this nonprofit, I've achieved so much more by training others and building relationships than just writing a check ever could. I'm not happy that today everyone's lives at that table changed in so many ways, good and bad, because of me. It wasn't the way I wanted it to happen, but it's done. They know everything now. I pleaded with them to let me handle Amanda and to keep the trust details private. We'll continue as usual for now. When I get sicker, things will change. They all agreed. We spent the next few hours making a meal, talking, crying, laughing, and breaking into smaller groups. They all left about an hour ago, but I expect the twins to return. I know they'll share what's happening with their spouses. That's just the way they are, and I love my two in-laws very much. I knew that last night was my last quiet night. I feel a weight lifted, but it's been replaced with another weight of worry. Update. Just a quick note. I was surprised by a visit from one of Amanda's friends. She's about the same age as Amanda. Her name is Megan, and she was with Amanda last week during their girls' night out. In fact, the girls' night was at Megan's house. If you've read my comments, you'd know that last week Amanda came home very intoxicated. She used a rideshare. Megan is an old friend of Amanda's. I guess after being married for over 2 decades, Amanda has forgotten that I introduced her to Megan. Megan's parents were friends of my parents. Well, I guess my unpredictability has added to Amanda's instability, and last week's girls' night was a breaking point for her. She got so drunk that she confided in Megan about her affair. Apparently, she just kept talking, even after Megan told her to stop. Megan got so angry at her. As Megan kept condemning Amanda, Amanda just kept trying to justify her actions while continuing to spill an endless stream of details. The following day, Megan reached out to Amanda. Amanda claimed she couldn't remember anything from the previous night. Megan recounted Amanda's confession. Amanda vehemently denied having an affair, insisted she never said those things, and claimed Megan was mistaken. Megan told Amanda she was full of it and gave her a week to come clean or she would tell me herself. Since Amanda continued to deny everything, Megan decided to visit me. Over coffee, Megan gave me a summarized version of Amanda's confession. Megan expected me to be shattered, but I surprised her by saying I already knew. I asked her who else was around when Amanda made her confession. Megan was the only other person there. I asked if she had told anyone else. That offended her. She assured me she wouldn't spread such information before telling me. I apologized and explained that I had my own timeline for dealing with Amanda and that involving others would complicate my plans. I had to ask. Megan understood. I requested that she keep it to herself and let Amanda think she believed her. Megan agreed to the first request, but felt uncomfortable with the second. I asked her to try. I assured her I would be okay. Megan said that if I needed anything else, all I had to do was ask. I know I'll owe Megan another apology when she finds out about my health, but I'll handle that later. So tomorrow I will confront Amanda. We have a regular date night, and I plan to calmly tell her what I know, my condition, and how I will spend the rest of my life without her. I hope the public setting will minimize drama. My plan is, after the confrontation, to give her the evidence and ask her not to contact me or my family. We'll see how it goes. Update: Mike Tyson once said, "Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth." Indeed, not every plan goes as envisioned. Mine was no exception. Let me set the scene for you. Amanda and I have a weekly date night, and we usually go to the same restaurant. We've been going there so long that we have a regular table. It's in the back, public, but away from the high energy near the bar. I decided this would be the place to confront her. I planned to do it after dessert. I arranged for my lawyer and his wife to have reservations at the same time. I prepaid for both of our meals. Our server, who has served us for years, was in on it. I had Megan on standby to help Amanda after I left. My plan was to end the meal with a conversation about our relationship. I wanted to record it. Then I would confront her, reveal that I knew about the affair, inform her of my diagnosis, and explain my future plans. I would give her a letter asking her not to contact me or my family or come to the farm. The letter would be witnessed. I would also leave her a briefcase full of evidence along with the divorce papers. Then I would get up and leave. I expected her not to make a scene to protect her social status. I did record the conversation. She gushed about how great our relationship had been over the years and how well we worked as a team. I asked her if I treated her well, if I had ever mistreated her, etc. She said, "Of course not." Then I asked why she cheated on me. She claimed she didn't know what Megan had told me, but that Megan was mistaken. I told her I had known before Megan told me. At that moment, everything I think Amanda had prepared to counter this conversation left her, and the color drained from her face. All she could do was ask, "What?" I told her to let me finish without interruption, and she nodded in agreement. She went from a confident and prideful woman to someone with a deer-in-the-headlights look. All she could do was nod. I recounted how I rushed home after my meeting with the doctor, eager to have the most difficult conversation with the one person I wanted to talk to. I told her that as I drove up, I noticed his car. I checked the cameras and saw they were in privacy mode. At that moment, I decided to go to the farm instead. I informed her that I still had footage, and she almost interrupted to ask how, but I raised my hand to stop her, signaling that I needed to finish. I shared my diagnosis and my decision not to fight the disease. Seeing the heartbreak in her eyes angered me. How could she feel sorrow for me? But I continued. I then signaled the waitress, who went to get my lawyer. They both approached our table. My lawyer handed me a briefcase and a folder containing a letter. I told Amanda I didn't want her to contact me or my family, or come to the farm after I left tonight. I signed the letter and asked the server to witness it. The server and lawyer observed as I handed the letter to Amanda. Afterward, I dismissed them. I then gave Amanda the briefcase, telling her I knew much more than she realized. I was utterly shattered. I informed her that the briefcase contained divorce papers I had already signed, and she could sign them to initiate the process. I explained that I didn't expect to survive a contested divorce. As long as I'm alive, she can stay at the house in town. I will be at the farm. I made it clear I would not see her after tonight and didn't want to hear any excuses. I mentioned that I had asked Megan to help her get home. In true fashion, Amanda kept her composure in public. She managed a quick "but," and I reminded her that I was leaving and that I was done. I went over to the server, gave her a generous tip, found the owner, and apologized for not giving him advance notice. As I was leaving, I saw my son at the door with Megan. Megan gave me a quick smile, followed by a look of concern for Amanda. My son brought my truck, and his wife drove me to the farm. My son and his wife stayed with me that Friday night. I finally persuaded them to go home around midnight. I went to bed feeling a mixture of relief and renewed loss. However, I had achieved what I needed to do. The family came to the farm on Saturday to check on me. I felt a bit smothered, but it was a good day until Megan arrived in the afternoon. She said that Amanda had fallen apart on Friday night, but contacted her affair partner on Saturday. After their conversation, Amanda realized she was just being used by him and was in a terrible state. Megan made sure to tell me that Amanda didn't ask her to reach out to me, but she believed that if I could talk with Amanda for a bit, it might give her the strength to stay out of my life. Megan knows how to frame her requests. I reluctantly agreed to a 2-hour discussion at the farm with Amanda. I would have someone there for support, and Amanda could choose someone to support her. We would have a civil conversation. I would not tolerate being blamed, minimized, or subjected to blame shifting. The purpose of the meeting was for her to get answers on how to move forward. That meeting happened this morning. Amanda chose Megan, maybe for damage control, and I chose my daughter. I wanted it to be as comfortable for Amanda as possible, so we wouldn't have to repeat this again. I entered the meeting with a clear goal of removing Amanda from my life. The meeting unfolded as expected. Amanda cried, apologized, and tried to downplay the affair. I wasn't having any of it. I outlined that she would have a place to live until my death. After that, the decision about the house would be up to the trustees. I made it clear she would not receive anything from my estate or the trust. But with her 6-figure pension and her trust, she'll be just fine. I need to vent about something. She said, "Why won't you fight for me or us?" I nearly lost my temper but calmly replied, "I just don't care about you or us anymore." That really hit her hard. Here's where I need to express my anger. This is the mindset of a selfish cheater. All they think about is themselves. Even after causing so much pain, they expect to still be valued enough to be worth fighting for. Amanda got the answers she asked for, but in hindsight didn't want them. I don't want another meeting. Continuing the meetings only distracts me from what I want to do. Megan and Amanda left, but Megan returned a couple of hours later. She and I had a quick talk. Apparently, the affair partner received notice from the trustees that they are converting the loan into shares of his company. Since the trust will be the majority owner, they are demanding a full forensic audit. My daughter, with the MBA, is not wasting any time. Well, I guess when Amanda went to him for comfort, she realized what I had already suspected. He was using her to see if she could buy the loan from me. There were offhand comments in the recordings that made me suspect he was up to something. With the paperwork filed, the affair partner knowing I sold the loan to the trust, and Amanda no longer in my life, her usefulness to him is gone, and he let her know. Apparently, Amanda also confided in Megan that her trust fund is depleted. She will only have her pension income. She saw life with the affair partner as more glamorous than life with me. She genuinely believes his net worth surpasses mine. He drives nice cars, eats in fancy restaurants, flies us first class, while my husband played on his farm, drove an old truck, and we flew economy. She was planning to divorce me once he expressed his undying love and desire to marry her. It disgusts me how greedy and shallow she is. Although I won't see it, I expect my family will tell her how much I was worth after my death. I am relieved her true colors were revealed now, so I could deal with her and spare my family from her. Then Megan did something unexpected that caught me off guard. She suggested that since I am no longer encumbered, I should give her a call if I need companionship. I challenged her, asking why, given my diagnosis, she or any woman would want to spend time with me. There's nothing long-term. She responded that just because Amanda is an ignorant slut who didn't appreciate what she had doesn't mean any divorcee or widow wouldn't be eager to spend what time I have left with me. She said I am a remarkable man, and any time with me would be cherished, and that quite a few women would line up for the chance, with her wanting to be first in line. I asked, "But most people won't know Amanda and I are separated?" She said Amanda doesn't want the social groups to know, but she and Sarah would make sure the truth gets out. I was polite and told her I would let her know. She smiled and gave me a kiss on the cheek. I thought about it after she left, but I am pretty sure I don't want that complication in my life right now. I have left out a lot, but these are the main points. I'm doing okay. It has been a roller coaster, and I need a few days of peace and quiet. The social groups will soon know about both the breakup of my marriage and my diagnosis. I will have an endless stream of people wishing me well. I knew I couldn't delay it forever, but I don't want to be treated differently. However, life is what it is. Update. First, I am doing okay. I am still above ground and above room temperature. Every day on my feet is a blessing. My coughing is a bit worse, and I'm experiencing some discomfort. I notice I'm getting winded more easily. Overall, though, it has been a great week. Let's start with Amanda. She has gone into hiding. Her status in the community has plummeted quickly. Once the news was out, she was politely asked to resign from her leadership roles. Most of her social circle has judged her harshly and directly asked if she chased their husbands. She has tried to reach out a few times, but I have not responded. A couple of attempts were through intermediaries. I just asked them to tell her I have said all I needed to say and know all I need to know. I really don't care if she needs closure. Why should I worry about her selfish need for that? She knows how I feel because I told her. Some details of the affair. It lasted at least 6 months. They took 3 trips together, posing as newlyweds, a couple celebrating a 20-year anniversary, and strangers who met on vacation and stayed at the same hotel. I guess role-playing was part of their dynamic. She used our house because she was comfortable there, and because it is set back from the road, so passers-by couldn't see the cars in the driveway. She also bought herself a second car and stored it in town in a parking garage. She apparently swapped cars when she went to the affair partner's house, so no one would recognize her vehicle. She was very concerned about how this would be viewed by anyone in her social circle, maybe so I wouldn't catch her. Her actions alone show how much effort she put into the affair. All of these efforts solidify in my mind how I feel and how I handled the situation. I have no regrets about what I have done. The drunken confession to Megan was partly due to my unpredictability. As soon as the notice of my sale of the affair partner's loan to the trust was received, he started to distance himself from Amanda. I guess from the pressure of almost getting caught and the affair partner's growing disinterest in her, she got drunk and spilled everything to Megan. You know what happens after that. It's become clear to me that the affair partner had ulterior motives for his involvement in the affair. This doesn't let Amanda off the hook at all. It just makes her even more pitiful. It seems he wanted Amanda's help with his loan, and she wanted a more glamorous life with his money. It's interesting how unpleasant people attract one another. If decent people let the despicable ones pair off, we can find better partners. Apologies to those who, out of loyalty, work on reconciliation. It wasn't for me. The affair partner is unhappy with my daughter's plans. It looks like he will try to contest it in court. All he stands to lose is more money. I've heard rumors that he's been trying to raise funds from other investors to pay off the loan, but unfortunately for him, word of his actions has already begun to spread among my business contacts. Remember when I said you invest in people, not companies? Well, there aren't many willing to invest in him. I don't know what my daughter has planned for his company, but since it employs quite a few people, she'll work hard to keep it going just for them. I think she's concerned the affair partner has something to hide in the company's books. For the employees' sake, I hope it's not something that can't be fixed. Family time has been wonderful. This week I went to a high school basketball game with the family. I also organized a poker night, which was fantastic. I had some old friends, my son and my grandson, at the game. The grandson got to see how old school men sit around telling stories and enjoying a night together. I hope to have a few more of these. We've had family meals 3 times this week. Megan came over one night and brought dinner. We ate and talked, but I kept her at a distance. I still don't feel comfortable letting her in. Doing chores on the farm brings me peace. I walk the fences, sometimes drive, check on the animals, check in with the employees, and help with equipment maintenance. Knowing that this farm will stay in the family and keep running gives me a sense of tranquility. A part of me will live on beyond my time here. I've had quite a few friends and acquaintances drop by. Someone mentioned a living wake, and I think this is what they meant. I'm encouraging anyone to come out and see me. I enjoy spending time with these folks, even if it might be the last time. Update. Unfortunately, I saw Amanda again. I'm still here, but it has been tough. I am now home, but I spent a few days in the hospital. I was found unconscious, but still breathing, so they took me to the ER. I have a do not resuscitate order, but I never died. I've always hated hospitals, and now with my diagnosis, I hate them even more. I don't want to die there. I've been home for a while now. I can no longer drive off the farm. Really, they don't want me driving on the farm either, but I am determined to keep doing my chores and watching the sunrise and sunset as long as I can. I also have full-time home healthcare workers, or as I call them, babysitters. But I'm not going to argue with the family about that. So basically, I don't remember anything until I woke up in the hospital. Most of my family and Megan were in the room. By then, I was stable, and the doctors just wanted to observe me for a day or two, and of course run more tests to be sure. Either my twins, Sarah or Megan, were with me almost the entire time. One night, when no one was with me, I woke up to find Amanda in my room. I guess she played the wife card on a duty nurse who didn't know she shouldn't be let in. I was tired, but she was acting like the sweet and devoted wife. I don't know why. When I realized she was holding my hand and stroking my head, I pulled away. She looked hurt. She then began apologizing, saying she didn't mean anything she said to him. She was just trying to use him, etc. I just sat there, not responding. This upset her. She demanded that I talk to her, just loud enough to catch the nurse's attention. The nurse noticed Amanda's behavior and my discomfort. Smoothly, she told Amanda to wait outside as she needed to perform some checks. Once Amanda was out of the room and the door was closed, the nurse asked if I was okay. I explained that Amanda was my ex-wife and there should be notes indicating she is not allowed. She apologized and asked how she could help reduce my stress. I requested she call my emergency contacts. She did, and about 45 minutes later, Sarah, my daughter, and Megan walked into the room. By then, Amanda had returned and was still quietly spewing her nonsense. When Amanda saw them, she knew she had to leave. I quietly asked her to just go, reminding her that none of the other patients deserved a scene. I told her to stop thinking about herself and just leave. I was grateful she quietly left, but she gave me a quick peck on the forehead before leaving. I recoiled a bit, but if that's the price for peace, so be it. The women in my life apologized profusely. Honestly, I can't be mad at them. They have their own lives. They figured out a schedule to ensure I wouldn't be left alone again. I'm sure my daughter thanked the nurse for calling them, while also expressing her frustration that Amanda was let in despite specific instructions. This event shows me that Amanda is like a drowning person, grabbing for anything to stay afloat. I am not special in her eyes. She just sees me as something she can use to keep herself above water. Each contact with Amanda reveals more about how dark and black her soul is. The affair partner is still as much of a jackass as ever. His accounting department has realized which way the wind is blowing, and in meetings with my daughter, they pretty much laid everything out. There's no criminal conduct in his business, but it's clear he was exploiting every perk and loophole to boost his income over his base pay at the expense of the bottom line. When my daughter takes control, he will see a 60% reduction in his earnings from the company. And that really pisses him off. I suspect she might outright fire him and move him to a silent minority owner role. His flashy lifestyle is about to hit a brick wall. He has threatened lawsuits, but hasn't taken any action yet. I think his credit and reputation in the area are in ruins. Megan has become a more permanent presence in my life. I have to say, I don't mind the company and companionship. Maybe she is wearing me down. She has been staying over several days a week. I hope to bounce back sooner rather than later. But since I can't drive anymore, I'm going to have to rely on others more. This is uncharted territory for me. Megan has been eagerly volunteering to support me in this area. And before you ask, no, there is nothing physical between us other than sitting close together. Time to start dinner and relax this evening. Again, thank you all for your support. I will try to go back and respond to all of your messages. They mean so much to me. Update. I am sorry to have to tell you all. My dad passed away this past week. One of his requests was to give you his letter. Well, if you are reading this letter, you know that my time here has come to an end. As many of you suggested, I wrote letters to all of my family members and created videos for them as well. That got me thinking that I needed to write one final letter. That letter is to all of you. I want to thank you all for your support and suggestions. This short time has been so important to me and will clearly be important to my family long after I'm gone. You have helped me achieve my final gift to myself and to my family, that last Christmas week together. Without having somewhere to vent and gain support, I would have had to turn to my family, and doing that would have meant abandoning my goal. My family might not see it as a gift right now, but they will in the future. I cannot tell you how much I enjoyed making those little videos. My family will have another small piece of me, and that is thanks to you all. I wouldn't have done any of those silly little videos without your suggestions and encouragement. Honestly, I wouldn't have even thought of it. I do have one request for all of you. My family will be going through many emotions. I know that part of putting my story out there is for you all to want a conclusion. Please allow my family to grieve and keep the requests for updates to a minimum. I have asked them to give you this letter, and if they feel they can, to give a final update on Lisa. That final update is up to them. I have asked them. I just ask you all to be patient. Finally, I wish you all the best, sending all the love I can from the great beyond. Remember, none of us are guaranteed tomorrow. Know yourself and be kind to those around you. I hope none of you have to endure the path I did, but if you do, I will be with you in spirit. Remember, you all are incredibly valuable. Never let anyone tell you otherwise. I'll send as many virtual hugs as I can from wherever I end up. Saying thank you sometimes feels so inadequate, but it's the best I can do right now. Thank you. I hope we meet again in the beyond, just not too soon. Update. Just to clarify, I am the daughter. Some of you assumed my brother posted the last letter, but it was me. I'm glad Dad left you all this letter. He got to say what he wanted to say. Now, for the updates. Dad didn't suffer as much as others with his diagnosis do. He passed away peacefully in his sleep. He had arranged for an autopsy, regardless of his final moments. He didn't want his illness or death to be used by Amanda to contest any of his plans. He had arranged and paid for it out of his estate. It was just like him to plan for everything. It turns out he died of a heart attack. So I take comfort that despite all the pain he endured, there was some mercy in the end. According to his wishes, he was cremated. Some of his ashes were placed with a headstone in an old cemetery on the farm. The rest were spread during spring planting. He got his wish to be part of the land he loved so much. We held the memorial on the farm, ensuring Amanda was nowhere to be found. The funeral home arranged for security, so if Amanda tried to come, none of the family knew. One idea Dad kept pushing was for all of us to move to the farm. He had already plotted out home sites. His hope was that we would all come live on the land when he retired. He had been talking about this for at least 10 years, and we all just humored him, but didn't take it seriously. Looking back, we didn't think Amanda would ever live on the farm permanently. And now, knowing what we know, I am so angry with myself for allowing that woman to have so much influence. Well, starting this year, we will be building new homes on the farm. My husband and I, along with my brother and his wife, will both be moving to the farm. We have a lovely site picked out. Mom and Tom, at our urging, will move into Dad's house. It just feels right. We all want to be closer to each other. As for Amanda, I thought I understood what it meant to be a pariah, but seeing Amanda's world collapse around her has shown me the true definition. She looks like she has aged 20 years in a few months. Her personality has completely changed. She contested the will and the trust assignment, but that was quickly dealt with. She didn't succeed. She did get their shared assets, but Dad had already given away the items he wanted. The biggest issue was the house in town. It was Dad's before their marriage, and she had no claim on it. She begged us to let her have it. Dad didn't care about that house. It was just a tool for him. And I am not ashamed to admit that in one of the pettiest moments of my life, I told her if she changed her last name back to her maiden name, I would give her the house. The value of that house is far less than the satisfaction of her not having my dad's last name. She took the offer. I don't see her staying. I expect her to sell the house and leave. We will see. The affair partner is long gone. After we had the company valued for the loan exchange, the trust ended up owning 80% of the company. We arranged for a trusted party to make him a generous offer for his remaining 20%. He took it and disappeared. We haven't heard from him in months. If he had focused on strengthening his company instead of chasing after Amanda, he would have been fine. I don't think he has learned this life lesson, and I really don't care. Our partner and we have chosen a new CEO, and the company is on its way to recovery. Megan was given a 1% share in the trust. We are committed to taking care of her as Dad would have wanted. She has been a steadfast figure in our family and will continue to be considered part of our family for her support of our dad. Last update. We have welcomed 2024. This marks the first year of my life without my father, and it weighs heavily on me. I wanted to stop by and give you all an update on my father's family. You already know that we celebrated our cherished week-long holiday tradition. While it was bittersweet, the week went very well. Dad succeeded in bringing us all together as a family, including Megan. Her romantic involvement with my father when he needed it most means a lot to us. He left us all letters for this year and one final gift for each of us. They were thoughtful and moved us to tears. Megan was entrusted with this last act. I expect there are also letters for the grandkids for all their major life events. The first one arrived last spring at a high school graduation. The home building is progressing. This year, I have come to understand what Dad loved about this farm. the cycles of the seasons, the ongoing cycle of life present here. I now understand his decisions from last year a bit better. While I still don't agree with everything, I have gained a deeper understanding. I have also started watching the sunrises and sunsets at Dad's favorite spots. Not as religiously as he did, but it's a connection between us. Amanda's life has taken a turn for the worse. In the fall, she suffered a stroke. It was caught early, and she survived. She is currently in a care center undergoing rehab. She has regained basic speech, but it is still difficult for her. She is still working on walking again and has a long road ahead of her. Her health issues have garnered some sympathy from her social circles. Even Mom, Tom, and Dad's grandkids have put aside their hurt and pain to check on her. I'm not that charitable at the moment and may never be. I don't have much information on the affair partner. He has vanished from my business circles. The only hint I have is that the company received an inquiry letter from a bankruptcy law firm. So far, no official filings have been made. As for the company, without his leadership and financial mismanagement, the company is now profitable. We managed the debt and gave every employee a nice bonus.